Hi, this is Jody from simpleminded.life, and in today's video we're going to be talking about how to master cottage style, what you should absolutely avoid and what you should embrace so it doesn't end up looking country. Alright, so while minimalism has reigned supreme for about the last 10 years or so, this last year with the pandemic, I think a lot of us, with so many people being at home and stuck together, not that that's a bad thing, but one thing that it did leave us all longing for is a stronger sense of warmth and coziness in our homes. It also left us longing for more private spaces that we could get away and reflect and just have some time alone. So with that, the popularity of cottage style, I would say, going into the next few years is going to be booming. And with that, I think one of the things that we are going to see kind of going out in the next few years is that of the super neutral whitewashed farmhouse style. I think farmhouse style is definitely going to be hanging around for several more years to come. I don't think it's going anywhere, but I do think that we're going to see a little more color and a little more warmth and not such a stark contrast between white and black with that style. And I'm bringing that up in this video because I would totally put farmhouse into the cottage style arena. Okay guys, let's talk about what you need to absolutely avoid. Absolutely avoid anything shabby. Like I said earlier with farmhouse, the color white and white spaces is not going anywhere, but it's not as modern. Cottage style is not quite as distressed as shabby. So instead of thinking shabby, think gently worn. So you want to look for furniture pieces and items and textures that look gently worn from use and wear over time and not distressed. We want to get rid of the shabby, get rid of the distressed, and bring in the gently worn. Also, for modern cottage style, you want to avoid any home decor that is contrived. What do I mean by that? Anything like signage art. Just avoid anything literal and contrived. Any type wall art or decorations that say things like family, hope, wall lettering, wall stenciling, and signage. That is definitely out. So sorry, but for all you text lovers out there, it's time to take down the signs and opt instead for some vintage artwork or a curated gallery wall, for example. Gallery walls still kind of add that interest, but it's just a little more sophisticated. And also the well curated gallery wall is a trend that's not going anywhere for several years. You just can't go wrong with that one. And if you really want to convey the feeling of home or hope or the beach, for example, try to think of your decor in more non-literal ways. So to bring the feeling and idea of family, you could display a stack of games that you play together, or a decorative bowl of shells or driftwood that you actually collected at the beach instead of a sign that says the beach, or something of that nature. Try to opt for more authentic decor, I guess is a phrase I would use to describe it. Also, you want to try to incorporate more antique and vintage furniture and stay away from rooms where everything is new. I think one of the best things associated with cottage style has to be antique and vintage shopping. I think that has to be one of the best perks of going with more of a relaxed cottage and comfortable vibe, is that you have the opportunity more often to go antique and vintage shopping. All right, and biggest thing that I urge and beg all of you to avoid if you are looking to have more of an updated modern cottage style is to avoid milk painted everything. And I am putting this out as a public service announcement to all you DIYers out there, and that is to please stop buying up all of the gorgeous real antique wood furniture and milk painting it. It really does. It breaks my heart to go into antique malls now and see booth after booth of what would be beautiful antique wood furniture that has been painted with milk paint and distressed in a shabby chic way. Now, that said, if you own a piece of furniture, if you're handed down a piece of wood furniture that is blemished beyond repair, then by all means milk paint it, restore it, and milk paint it to match your cottage decor. I'm mainly talking to the people going out there and purposely buying up all of the antique furniture and painting it for resale. Okay, I will get down off of my soapbox with that one. Yeah, stop painting all the furniture. All right, so now let's get into the fun stuff. These are tips and ideas and hopefully inspiration for ways that you can do modern cottage style right. All right, overall, I would say that the cottage aesthetic is getting a little less country, as I said, and it's getting just a little more elevated, a little more elegant, and a little bit more sophisticated, and it's drawing a lot more inspiration from more of the European English style, French style cottage. So we're seeing a lot more kind of classical details and styling, and what I mean by that is a lot more moldings and trim and detail work and not so much rustic. So over the past several years, the trend has been to brick walls, rustic beams, things of that nature, and moving forward we're going to see a lot more crown molding and trim detail on walls, built-in bookcases, and things of that nature to add charm versus the rustic wooden elements. Do use natural materials that are warm and timeless, so cotton, linen, silks, things of that nature. And we're also warming back up to beige, where we've had years and years now of gray being the most popular neutral tone. We're seeing a lot more beige come back into interiors and decors. All right, my next do to get cottage style right is do keep it cozy, and some easy ways that you can amp up the cozy factor is by creating small little conversation areas and nooks and snuggly touches like overstuffed throw pillows and blankets and throws, and a lot of textures. So not necessarily a lot of patterns, but a lot of different textures. So think fluffy blankets, knobby textured fluffy throw pillows, things of that nature. Whenever we mix up a lot of textures in that way with textiles, it just automatically gives a cozy feeling, like you could just snuggle up. All right, and my next do is do make sure to mix it up, and like I mentioned earlier, you don't want everything in a room or a space to be new. You want to mix it up with some vintage and antique items to up the cottage factor. Now, the key thing to keep in mind with this, and whenever you're bringing in a lot of vintage and antique items, the way to keep it from feeling old and outdated is to make sure that the colors are modern and fresh, and that is what's going to keep it looking updated and current. All right, and my next do for the modern cottage style aesthetic is do have fun with color. Don't be afraid to bring in some bright and bold colors and have fun with pattern. I think that's one of the main things that is pulling this style out of kind of the country aesthetic and making it not feel outdated and fresh is the fun use of color. And if you need some color inspiration, I would definitely check out basically anything from Farrow and Ball's collection. All their colors are wonderful, saturated, timeless colors. You really can't go wrong from any color from any of their color palettes. Pretty excited. This actually just came in the mail this week, and this is their new color collection from Liberty London. I'm probably going to share a little bit more about this color palette. I don't know how well that's showing up. Ooh, the light is really bad. I'm probably going to share a little bit more about this color palette. It's just so fun. I absolutely love it, and I am in the midst of renovating my home, and a lot of the colors in here are colors that I had already picked out, almost identical colors for my renovation project. So pretty excited about this. Stay tuned for more of this. All right, and my next do is to find natural ways to bring the outside in. That's one of the key components of cottage style and the cottage aesthetic is house plants, fresh flowers, bringing the outside in. You can do that literally with house plants and, like I said, fresh flowers, but you can also do it by incorporating a lot of floral prints and floral patterns into your design. And once again, you want to look for patterns that have modern, updated colors. That's what's going to keep it looking fresh and modern. All right, and my last do for cottage style and to keep it from looking country is do have fun with patterns. Don't be afraid to mix it up and have fun with plaids, florals, gingham, ikat, twa, stripes, you name it. Like I said, the key with all of these to keep it looking too country is to make sure that the colors are updated and modern. You also want to pay attention to the scale of the patterns when you're mixing those up. So you don't want the proportions of the pattern to be all same. You want to play with size and scale. So you want some patterns that are larger, and you want to contrast that with patterns that are a smaller scale and maybe a bit more muted. So you want to have some juxtaposition there so that they're not fighting against each other. All right, and then my last final tip is to go beyond just your curtains and throw pillows when you're thinking about pattern. Don't be afraid to use it on sofas, furnishings, the walls. Like I said, wallpaper is making a big comeback, especially with the new cottagecore aesthetic that is becoming increasingly popular. So more can be more with the new cottage style. I just encourage you to kind of maybe push the boundaries a little bit of what you've been comfortable with, and don't be afraid to experiment more with colors. And maybe for you it is just starting with bringing color and more pattern in with your pillows, or a throw, or maybe a duvet cover in the bedroom, or your curtains. Those are things that are easily changed, so it's easy to experiment and have fun with those. Same with paint. You can't go wrong with paint, so never be afraid to try a new or different color because it's so super easy to paint over it. So do have fun decorating, and I hope you enjoyed the tips and ideas and inspiration in this video. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about the different cottage style aesthetics, I do have another video where I talk about those. I will link it in the description below. And all right, so for now, goodbye.